The COVID crisis, historic wildfires, increased racial tensions, weighing heavy on the hearts of many Californians.
We're in a state of emergency, and if somebody doesn't make the decision to do something intentionally for the Black community, we're going to continue to see this kind of downward spiral.
Tonight, the people who serve communities of color are rising to the occasion.
In the midst of all the things that could be getting us down, it's really the time for the Urban League and others like us, and we are stepping up.
Creating safe places.
And part of the work with Safe Black Space is around helping Black people understand and value that essence, that humanness, that greatness within them.
In a KCRA3 special presentation, Project Community, Meeting the Needs.
2020 has given us some major challenges. In less than a year, we've been through a pandemic, recession, racial tensions, and devastating wildfires currently covering our neighborhoods with smoke.
But we are also seeing resilience, and KCRA3's Brittany Johnson shows us how one group is offering a safe space from racial trauma.
That's right, Edie and Brian. It's called Safe Black Space Before COVID-19, an in-person gathering to speak freely without judgment. Tonight, the healing is still there. It just looks different.
I'm doing all right today and yesterday, but that doesn't mean last week wasn't really, really hard. It's been like a roller coaster for me.
Dr. Christy Hagans is a Sacramento psychologist who specializes in racial trauma. She's well-versed, helping and healing communities of color. But this year, she's also working on self-care.
We started 2020, at least for me, very excited about the possibilities, what it would bring, and all of the pandemics, right, in terms of the COVID-19, the civil unrest, the racism that we've been experiencing, the wildfires, right? It's just been this sense of not knowing what's coming next, and sometimes feeling as though, okay, I'm getting through, I'm making it, and then bam, you kind of hit the ground. And then in other moments, I get very confident about our resilience and our strength.
There's strength in numbers. It's why Hagans created Safe Black Space, a place where African Americans can find healing from the stress of racism.
Safe Black Space really emerged after Stephon Clark was killed. As a Black psychologist myself, I had been aware of just some of the resources that could be available for our community in particular, and really heard a call from our community about how we were responding and reacting and feeling to the killing of this brother in his grandmother's backyard, unarmed, shot 8 times.
Today is a special day. For the first time since COVID-19 separated them in March, Hagans is meeting with 2 other members, Dr. Tia Hairston and Dr. Jacqueline Olison, in person.
I didn't really think that I really needed a space to be able to just talk about things that you can't talk about in mixed company, but I did. And so by being able to express how hurt I might be by some of the microaggressions I might have been experiencing, or how much it would break my heart to see someone being murdered senselessly by someone who's supposed to protect us. I don't know, I always get emotional thinking about it, but it made me feel lighter somehow. Better, stronger, safer.
I was someone who protested a lot. And I was just tired of that energy, just the anger and the rage that I felt when I was protesting and demonstrating. And I felt like I needed something else.
Meetings used to be in person and scattered throughout Sacramento churches and community centers. But like other community-based groups, those meetings are now held online. And there's a silver lining in that.
So we use many of the same components, which is, again, culturally relevant, African-based strategies for healing and valuing who we are and other things. But we do it online. And what we found is we've actually had almost more participation because we can reach so many different places. So it's been exciting to kind of take a look at who our attendees have been. I mean, we've had people from the UK, from Nigeria, from all across the states.
And with racial tensions at an all-time high, there is certainly a need for a place to speak freely, and as Hagans puts it, without judgment.
part of the work with Safe Black Space is around helping Black people understand and value that essence, that humanness, that greatness within them. And so that hope for me is around, again, reconnecting to knowing that things are rotating. There's a divine order to things.
All of the things around race, they've always been there, but I just don't think people really had, they didn't pay attention to it because they could do other things. But now you don't have those outlets. Everything is really in front of your face and you just have no choice. You're forced to deal with it. The George Floyd incident, there had been so many, Eric Garner, everything, Philando Castile, Sandra Bland, but just watching that scene and people begging for mercy and no one caring, I think people had had enough.
I've experienced a lot just in my own life. I was in Missouri when Michael Brown was killed. I went to the University of Missouri, actually just graduated from there. So I went to demonstrations there and protested in Ferguson. I was in Mississippi when Trayvon Martin was murdered.
As a mother of 2 young Black sons, Hairston is now fighting for their future.
It's scary. It's very scary because they're so innocent, right? This is how they all start off, just very innocent and beautiful, right? His energy, his spirit is beautiful. If you can't already tell, he's very chill. But once he grows up, we see research that by the time they're 5, they're already being, looked at as troublemakers or things like that. So, I'm still grappling with how am I going to change the course of their lives, the trajectory of their lives under the current circumstances that we live. When we see history repeating itself, right? When I hear my elders talking about, we've seen this before. We experienced this in the 60s, in the 50s. It's hard to feel hopeful because it's like, it hasn't changed very much.
It's time for change. So I want to urge each and every one of us to find ways to renew and restore ourselves because so much of the world, again, feels so very uncertain. And with that, to really support and allow folks of color, for example, Black people, to do what we need to do to take care of ourselves.
Safe Black Space, a place for self-care, change, community, and finding hope in troubling times. The next Safe Black Space online meeting is October 10th from 3 to 4:30 p.m. If you want details, you can log on to safespace.org.
Okay, Brittany, thanks. Well, there's another community organization that's always transitioning with the times, and that's the Greater Sacramento Urban League. This group is keeping up with the current needs of the community.
And that flexibility really came into play this year when COVID-19 forced the agency to reimagine the way it operates. GSUL President Cassandra Jennings says now is the time to empower, not cower.
We are serving like we've never served before.
Cassandra Jennings stepped into the GSUL leadership role in 2016, but many have seen her working in the community long before then. She served as senior advisor to Mayor Kevin Johnson, working on key policy initiatives such as arts, homelessness, housing, volunteerism, public safety, health, and community issues. Jennings also spent 6 years as the assistant city manager for the city of Sacramento and more than 20 years with the Sacramento Housing and Redevelopment Agency.
When I came, we certainly had the opportunity to bring back some programs. We brought back housing counseling, where we're really counseling people whether they have rental questions and challenges or home ownership. Because we're in Del Paso Heights, we feel like we need to make our mark in more than one way. So we have been able to purchase a lot, 4 lots to the south of our building. And our goal is to really do affordable housing and ground floor retail or either office space. COVID has changed it somewhat. We are still in the early stages, but we thought we had control of the land, we could get our team together and then start propelling forward.
The agency found ways to keep their doors open for some services, such as resume labs and some job preparedness training with one-on-one counseling sessions.
When you come in here, you will see the markers on the floor if we have a hiring event that's not virtual, that's in person, where people can still be safe and be able to interface. And then the creativity comes is when we have a DARC center, a digital assistance resource center, which we have totally remodeled so that it would be COVID compliant.
But the real change came with technology.
Part of what we're doing in our training is we got to continuously educate people and then reskill them or upskill them or just skill them on the possibilities. So that's our challenge, but that's also our opportunity to connect people with those jobs of the now and the future.
The Greater Sacramento Urban League, the Greater Sacramento Economic Council, and the City of Sacramento launched a program to help people in Sacramento get trained for jobs in technology fields using part of the city's CARES Act funding. The Digital Upskill Sacramento program focuses on training 40 people who've been affected by COVID-19, and specifically people in underrepresented communities. Those in the program will receive 9 weeks of training, a free laptop, a $600 per week stipend, and $150 toward internet access. 400 people will be interviewed for those 40 spots. The Urban League said applicants who are not chosen will still get job training services, and Mayor Steinberg has promised to keep a high-tech training program going even after the federal money runs out at the end of the year. And this election, the Urban League says they're not letting COVID get in the way of serving as community leaders.
As they say, we should vote like our life depends on it. So for the Urban League, we're ready to be of assistance not only in the education and the information, but also as a vote center. And we're not new at this. Since I've been here, we've been the vote center since Voters' Choice Act was adopted a couple of years ago. And what we're prepared to do is to have people to come in and drop off their ballot, and then also be prepared for people to come in and vote up to 11 days before. And they'll come in, we'll be open every day. It'll be fully staffed by the county staff, and we'll be here to assist too. I tell my staff is ready, set, and go with all that we have.
The Greater Sacramento Urban League is also part of a coalition of advocacy groups who are sending volunteers into underserved communities and encouraging families to fill out their census forms and be counted.
Distance learning keeping kids out of classrooms. And Lorraine Pryor says that's not necessarily a bad thing for Black students facing racism on campus.
It's not always overt racism, what we see right now. Sometimes it's covert. It's microaggressions daily. It's coming in and not calling on the student with their hand up. It's putting that student in the back of the room. It's that student walks into your classroom and you automatically kick them out.
Up next, the Black Youth Leadership, reaching out through technology to empower Black students during the pandemic.
Welcome back as we continue this Project Community Special, Meeting the Needs. The coronavirus pandemic has really shifted the way our kids are learning.
And Brittany Johnson joins us again with how 4 Sacramento area groups are helping students learn.
Well, advocates say when school fully reopens, there is an opportunity to rid our campuses of unconscious bias and overt racism, something Sacramento youth leadership and its allies say is long overdue.
We want to hold people accountable, and we do that by showing up. We show up consistently and intentionally.
Laureen Pryor is a veteran legislative staffer and president of the Black Youth Leadership Project, also known as BYLP. Her passion, making sure Black students and their families are treated fairly.
So we serve Black children, specifically and intentionally, unapologetically. And we do that because what we've been seeing, especially in the school districts, because we also do advocacy work, especially in the school districts, we've seen that Black children are not supported in the way that they, 1, need to be supported, and 2, what they should be supported. We deal with the whole family, right? So we have the students covered, we have the parents covered, we deal with school districts.
Keeping the focus on educators and policymakers takes a critical eye and a willingness to act boldly.
It's not always overt racism, what we see right now. Sometimes it's covert. It's microaggressions daily. It's coming in and not calling on the student with their hand up. It's putting that student in the back of the room. It's that student walks into your classroom and you automatically kick them out. The thing that upsets me the most is how they're treating the children.
The fight for fair treatment goes beyond the classroom. BYLP is also growing the next generation of public leaders, introducing teens to the legislative process, developing leadership skills, and getting youth involved in public service. A critical mission given the racial tensions today.
I think it's important that we understand that the Black community is reeling right now based on the trauma that we're seeing out in society. We're in a state of emergency, and if somebody doesn't make the decision to do something intentionally for the Black community, we're going to continue to see this kind of downward spiral.
Joining in the fight, non-Black allies.
That's the biggest issue. White supremacy will not end unless white people see it as a white problem. It is not a Black problem for them to fix on their own.
Lisa Stanley is with Allies to Abolitionist Support Network.
We have to really be intentional in our own learning of our own biases, implicit biases, and want to be part of the change.
A target of racism herself, she says change is long overdue.
So I saw firsthand what it was to be with a Black man, to experience what a Black family experiences. My kids' father was Black, and we were pulled over for numerous times for no reason at all. Guns drawn, just this, what we see in the news today, right? It hasn't stopped. And this is important to me. It's important not just because of my kids, it's important because it's a social justice.
And while COVID-19 is separating activists from decision makers, it doesn't mean the cause is on pause.
Right when COVID hit, we were scheduled to have our legislative open house, our annual program. We had the largest class coming in at 150 students.
Mentorship has gone online. Families still get support. Youth are heard and encouraged through the Black Girls Support Network and Black Boys Support Network. Richard Davis and Jordan Sanders are mentors with the Black Boys Support Network.
We just support the kids that we recruit, and we make sure that they know that they're loved, that they're valued, and that they can come to us about whatever problems that they may face. And we make sure that we're intentional with how we care for them. We're intentional with how we, stay on top of being in touch with them. And so we just let them know that we're always here, we're a listening ear.
Sanders says he is encouraged by the multiracial support for meaningful changes to policing, public safety, and reversing decades of inequities. But he's also a realist.
It's natural. People just jump on the train for a little bit and they jump right off.
Davis also calls it like he sees it.
One thing that troubles me right now is, I guess, the inflation of racism that comes from the current election. A lot of those things that we see is making people say things very boldly, and it's kind of showing reflection in our society in multiple different facets. And so when I look at that, it makes me a bit frightened. What makes me hopeful is, my people sitting here in this room.
Giving children and teens a safe place to speak, be heard, and encouraged.
I think we all come from a place where we wish we had certain examples at certain times. This is a place where you can make sure that that example is there.
Jada Pryor is there for Black girls and young women.
I learned a lot about myself. I learned a lot about, I've always been a leader. I've learned how to be a leader in a different way, a more positive, a more healthy way. And that's kind of like how I try to direct my girls, just because we're always going to have challenges, and understanding that because America was built this way, nothing is your fault and nothing is personally against you, but being able to combat those challenges in a healthy manner.
Black youth leadership and its allies, meeting the needs in a consistent and intentional way and inviting others to do the same.
We're waiting on Superman. The Superman ain't coming. Let's be honest, Superman's not coming. So what are you going to do? How are you going to contribute to the changes you want to see? And we're just doing our part.
And if you are interested in becoming a student or parent ambassador with the Black Youth Leadership Project or joining the Black Boys, Black Girls Network, you can find all the details at bylp.org. Back to you.
Okay, Brittany, thank you.
Straight ahead. While the Trump administration moved to end racial sensitivity training at federal agencies this year, California is moving ahead with requiring ethnic studies at universities.
When we looked at it, we looked at it as kind of an institutional racism, that the unwillingness to listen, and that if we're going to make any change in California, we sometimes have to confront those issues that are uncomfortable.
I think that many of them feel very disempowered in their lives already.
The common piece is they have a hunger for information, a hunger for knowledge.
Meeting the needs of the community requires a knowledge of the community, and that means everyone in the community.
KCRA3's Lisa Gonzalez shows us how the state is pushing forward with a new requirement at all California State University campuses.
Fewer students are moving into the dorms for classes on the campus of Sacramento State University. But every single incoming freshman now has a new class they must take, ethnic studies. It comes from a law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom.
This has been a long journey to try to get ethnic studies included in the curriculum and in the requirements for students who graduate in California.
Assemblymember Shirley Weber authored the new law. It requires that every student that will graduate in 2025 and beyond must take 3 credits of ethnic studies. It does not increase the number of classes required to graduate. Some campuses may not have the staff or curriculum, but CSU Associate Chancellor Allison Wren says they have a solution.
Some of these campuses will need to ask faculty to hold extra meetings to get these courses moving forward. Fortunately, we have a lot of courses that are available online now. And so some of our campuses with more robust ethnic studies programs will be able to help support our smaller campuses for a time.
And while it's a legislative requirement, it is a path of study that Assemblymember Weber says they've been trying to get the universities to enact for years and finally saw a need for legislative action.
When we looked at it, we looked at it as kind of an institutional racism, that the unwillingness to listen, and that if we're going to make any change in California, we sometimes have to confront those issues that are uncomfortable.
Lisa Gonzalez, KCRA 3 News.
Governor Newsom vetoed a bill that would have required ethnic studies in high schools, which surprised some people.
Advocates say recent events have made the push for that course even more important. And Brittany, you've got a little bit more on that.
I sure do. We did speak with Dr. Andrea Moore and Blair Howard, two people who know the importance of the courses and learning from what is happening now.
Ethnic studies actually came about because of students, very young folks like junior high and high school, saying, hey, we want to be taught our stories. Can we be taught about like Pan-African stories? Can we be taught about Latinx stories? Can we be taught Native American stories? We want to be taught these stories, but they're not being taught embedded in our history in a way that does not marginalize those people.
I get a lot of students who think that, you know, U.S. history is boring. It's just memorizing facts and dates, you know, the sort of stereotype about history. And that's because they've never engaged with the problems and the issues of history. It's always been nice and clean cut, a nice story that just moves along, and then yay, we're here and everything's really good, right? Is this triumphant, you know, narrative of American history. That's boring to kids.
And once you begin to take an ethnic studies course, you begin to actually validate yourself and your experiences and your identities in ways that maybe you have not been able to, or were not able to connect with the literature and the education and the curriculum.
While the advocates say this ethnic studies requirement is a huge step, they believe more work does need to be done. And that does start with what happens in the classroom.
Is that we start talking about what's happening with people like Breonna Taylor in our classroom. We need to bring in what's happening in real life into the classroom and allow students to process, share, engage, and grapple with what is happening around them and not pretend that it's not happening and just go on with business as usual.
This is important, and whatever we can do, whatever actions we can do in order to better implement it, that's what we've got to do, because it's important for our students. And you know, that's what every teacher will always say, I'm in it for my students. And so once you sort of point out this is something that your students need, then I think that that's where, you know, hopefully they'll open up.
Well, Brian and Edie, this is definitely a conversation that will continue to develop over the next coming weeks, months, and years.
Okay. Exactly, helping all students feel engaged. Thank you, Brittany.
That's right.
And thank you for joining us for this special presentation, Project Community Meeting the Needs.